Yo, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. You know who it is. It's your boy, the Nature Boy. Back with another video for you guys here today. And today we have yet again another versus video. This seems to be the type of videos that you guys enjoy the most on my channel. So I am going to be doing more of these consistently on the channel. So today we have an interesting one because today we have for the first time a dead character. And today we are doing Whitebeard against Monkey D. Luffy. Yes. So before we get into it, let me specify the versions of these characters that I'm talking about. So first off, with Whitebeard, we are going to be talking about Marineford Whitebeard, not Prime Whitebeard, but Old Whitebeard that we saw at Marineford. However, without the sickness, because I think that was very much put in there for plot armor. So those random heart attacks and stuff like that is going to be gone because that's just plot for Marineford. I'm not going to be incorporating that into this fight with Luffy. I'm just going to be taking the old version of Whitebeard and what we saw of him minus the sickness and pitting that up against Luffy. And the Luffy we're going to be discussing is the manga Luffy. If you are up to date right now as of chapter 1062, obviously spoiler alert, if you're not reading the manga, get off the video right now. So we're going to be talking about Gear 5 Luffy that beat Kaido. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. As always, starting off with strength. This is already a tough one because we've seen incredible strength feats from both. Old Whitebeard, even at 72 years old, has been incredibly impressive when it comes to strength. He was able to stop a massive ship, Squirtle ship, with one hand. While he was sick, while he was injured, while he had multiple stab wounds and all of that. Stops it casually with one hand. Very impressive stuff from Whitebeard here. As we saw, he was able to manhandle giants. Literally picked up a giant with his hand on his face. Gripped him by the face, picked him up, and threw him across Marineford. That in itself is one of the best strength feats we've seen in the series. To be able to do that with one hand. Now when it comes to Luffy, don't even get me started with Luffy. Luffy's one of the strongest in the series currently. And when he goes into Gear 5 mode, what we saw him do with Kaido in Gear 5 mode, do I even need to mention it? Jump roping Kaido, slamming Kaido, doing all this stuff, toying around. Just him even like flexing his muscles. We know that Luffy in that form is the freest version of himself and the strongest version of himself. And as much as I love Whitebeard, you guys know me, I love Whitebeard. I can't justify giving him strength after what we saw Luffy do to Kaido in Gear 5. So because of that, Gear 5 Luffy has to take this one, for sure. He has to take it. Speed. Next up is speed. Speed, we don't really need to get into this. I think this is pretty obviously Luffy. I don't see Whitebeard having any feats comparable to a Gear 4 Snake Man Luffy. And for that, he definitely takes it. So speed goes to Luffy. Endurance. These are two of the best endurance characters in the series. Luffy has shown us great endurance all the way from the beginning of the series. We saw in Drum Island, I think, his best endurance feat when he was carrying Sanji and Nami. I think he was holding Sanji's jacket in his mouth and he had Nami on his back, climbing up the mountain with his hands bloody, his fingertips bloody. We've seen endurance feats from him in literally every single arc of the story. Summer War Saga, some of the best endurance. Against Kaido, probably some of his best endurance as well, where he was able to keep taking this, and coming back. However, I don't think in the entire series we have ever seen better endurance feats from any character than that of Whitebeard at Marineford. This man came in already old. Like I said, we're going to take away the sickness, so we're not going to mention that. Takes a stab from Squirtle. Enters the fight. Takes, I think it was literally hundreds of stab wounds. Hundreds of gunshot wounds. And like just below 100 cannonball shots. Took 2 punches from magma attacks from Admiral Akainu. Had half his face blown off. Took countless, I've lost count of how many laser beam shots he took from Kizaru. And that was still not enough to beat him. And in that state, after taking every single thing I just mentioned, he went on to fight Blackbeard and his entire crew. And that's when he died. And even that was like hundreds of more gunshot wounds, more stabs, and other things. Where he actually beat Blackbeard 1v1. In that state, this man with half a face and 2 donuts in his chest beat Blackbeard 1v1. Best endurance in the series, bar none. I don't want to hear it. I don't think there's any debate here. I know you guys love Luffy, but Whitebeard takes this one for sure. Next up, we have durability. Durability, I don't think is Whitebeard's strongest suit. I think endurance is his strongest suit, but I think when it comes to durability, he tends to rely more on his willpower to withstand the pain in the damage than actually have a body strong enough to not receive as much damage as others would. So I think basically how I'm trying to say this is he receives just as much damage from these attacks as yet anyone else would, like a Zoro. If he were to take that damage, he would receive it the same way. But Whitebeard's endurance, his willpower to keep going with that damage, is what makes him great. Whereas I think with guys like Luffy, Kaido, Big Mom, they don't receive as much damage from these attacks as the average person would to begin with. Like, Luffy doesn't feel, we know this, even when he was falling down Marineford, he was even saying, if I fall and I land, I'm going to be just fine. Every time he gets hit, he's fine because he's rubber. The only time we really see his durability removed is when Blackbeard touches him like an impel down, and that's when he feels it. Now, obviously, I'm not saying Luffy does not feel pain. Luffy feels a lot of pain, and like I said earlier, he has some of the best endurance in the entire series. But being a Zoan, and being a mythical Zoan at that, along with Kaido, we know that already just being a Zoan gives you an incredible durability boost. Along with being a mythical Zoan, even better. So Luffy has incredible durability, way better than Whitebeard's in my opinion. So without talking about it anymore, Luffy takes durability. Next up, we have Devil Fruit, and I know I'm going to get some heat here. I already know I'm going to get some heat from you guys here. But for me, let me just say, I didn't have to think too much about this one because I already made my mind up. I already have a ranking of best Devil Fruits in my own mind. And let me just say that I think both of them are in the top 3 best Devil Fruits in the entire series. For those who know Luffy's fruit now, Hito Hito no Mi Model Sunga Nika, some would say it's the best in the series. I would disagree, but I would say it's the top 3 best. I would also say the Guru Goro no Mi is top 3 best Devil Fruits in the series, but I have to give it to my man Whitebeard. I have to give it to my man Whitebeard. I think as great as Luffy's fruit is, the Guru Goro no Mi is just so goddamn destructive. It is the most destructive idea you can even come up with for a Devil Fruit that it just has to take it. And in a combat style fight on a 1v1, I think the Guru Goro no Mi has a better usage than is more useful in the fight than the Sunga Nika fruit. However, we're not into the fight part yet. Right now, we are just talking about the Devil Fruits. But if you were to pit these two Devil Fruits against each other, that's a different story because rubber can counter quakes. We know that, especially in awakening form. So that's a different story. But right now, we're just saying who has the better fruit along with how good they are at their fruit. So I got to give this one to my man Whitebeard. Next up, we have skill. I think this one's also very close. I think Whitebeard has shown us amazing skill in the series. He has a fantastic Devil Fruit, great strength. We even saw when he was fighting when he was fighting Blackbeard. Blackbeard thought he had him beat and was laughing in his face just because he found out how to counter his Devil Fruit. And I guess being with Whitebeard all this time, he somehow assumed that Whitebeard relied that much on his Devil Fruit. And we all found out, just the same as Blackbeard, real quick, that Whitebeard does not need his fruit at all. And he switched to his Basento and his Haki just like that and one-shotted Blackbeard. And went on to tell Blackbeard that you're overconfident, you rely too much on your powers. Whereas we also saw in a flashback, Oden's flashback, he fought Roger, and the bits that we saw, including their main clash, he never even used his fruit. So Whitebeard's a man of skill. He has great Haki, he has Conqueror's Haki, he has advanced Conqueror's Haki confirmed, he has a great Devil Fruit, fantastic endurance, strength. He has a lot of different skills, a lot of different ways of fighting people. Luffy, on the other hand, I think is one of the most skillful guys in this series. Now, he has all 3 forms of Haki. He has all 3 forms of advanced Haki. He has Devil Fruit. He has Devil Fruit Awakening. His strengths include his physical strength, his durability, his endurance, his stamina. What more is there to say? I think, with all due respect to the GOAT, Whitebeard, this one has to go to our man, Monkey D. Luffy. And last but not least, we have Haki. And Haki, I'm going to give to Whitebeard because I'm of the belief, I know a lot of people think that his Haki was somehow weaker when he was sick at Marineford. Me personally, I just chalked that down to Oda not having Haki fully developed because that's a fact. At that point in time, Haki was not a fully developed concept. We really didn't see any Haki feats from anyone at that point in the series aside from Luffy's Conqueror's Haki blast right then and there and the Admiral's blocking Whitebeard's attack. That's literally it. So I don't think it's fair to say to just make the assumption that because he was old, we're just going to assume his Haki diminished. I'm of the belief, especially after seeing guys like Rayleigh, that Haki does not diminish with age whatsoever. Your Haki stays the same. Again, that's not confirmed, but neither is the opposite. That's my belief. So with this, I'm going to bring up the Haki feats we saw him with Roger. And I don't think if Luffy clashes with Roger, he's splitting the sky. I think he's getting tossed back like he did with Big Mom in Gear 4. I think he's going to toss back. He's rolling back. It'll be a good fight. But he is not at the point yet where his Haki can match the Pirate King himself. So for this, I have to give it to Whitebeard. You guys may disagree. Let me know in the comments. But that's my stance on it. So quick recap. Strength goes to Luffy. Speed goes to Luffy. Endurance, Whitebeard takes it. Durability goes to Luffy. Devil Fruit goes to Whitebeard, although it is very close in my opinion, and both are in the top 3 best Devil Fruits. Skill goes to Luffy, also very close, and Haki goes to Whitebeard. Now, getting into the fight. Again, this is a Whitebeard who is not sick, just old. So a 72-year-old Whitebeard, that's it, against Luffy. I think this fight is going to be very interesting because Luffy can counter Whitebeard's Kurogoro no Mi attacks if he is in his awakened form. As we saw with Kaido, he's able to just pull the ground and stuff like that. I think that's going to be very useful when fighting a man who causes quakes. However, if he causes a tsunami, I don't really see Luffy being able to do anything about that. But then again, that might hurt Whitebeard as well. But the way I see this fight going, I think it's going to be a pretty even fight from the start. I don't even know who would look better in the beginning because even though Luffy is stronger, Whitebeard's more experienced. And that matters a lot in fights. And Whitebeard has better Haki in my opinion as well. And he has better endurance. So with that, I think because of that, they're going to be fighting evenly for a very long time. Where it's going to be kind of like a Katakuri and Luffy fight in terms of length. But it's going to be a lot of back and forth. And I see this fight being back and forth the entire time. Where Luffy might outstrengthen him. I mean, if Luffy was able to keep up with Kaido, who's one of the strongest characters we have ever seen, I think he will outstrengthen and outpower Whitebeard. But Whitebeard has more experience, he has a better Haki in my opinion, he has better endurance, and because of this, I think he's going to outlast Luffy more. Now, if he tries his fruit, I think he's going to be able to hit Luffy and damage Luffy and do significant damage in the beginning. But we know Luffy adapts, and his Devil Fruit can counter this, so he's going to, it's not a natural counter like NL, where he doesn't even have to think, it's just going to counter. Luffy's going to have to be creative and understand that he's a counter and be able to use his counter. And I think he will be able to use his counter, rendering eventually, that way later on down the fight, rendering Whitebeard's Devil Fruit as useless. But just like Kaido told us, at the end of the day, it all comes down to Haki. And I think Luffy's going to do significant damage to him. I think he's going to have a way better showing than Akainu did against Whitebeard, because that was some poor showings from Akainu. Luffy will do a lot better in Gear 5 especially. He will even manage to knock Whitebeard down and hurt Whitebeard bad. But Whitebeard has the best endurance in this series, and it being the combination of, obviously in my opinion, the best endurance in the series, along with better Haki and more experience, I just don't see a way where Luffy ends up winning this. I think deep down at the end, Whitebeard can finally pull it off and defeat Luffy. I think he beats him, but I think it'll be an extreme difficulty fight. I want to say high, but it's Luffy who beat Kaido, so I have to say extreme. And I already know you guys are fuming. You guys probably think Luffy destroys him. I know some of you think that, but this is honestly the way I see it, because look back at Marineford. It was called the War of the Best for a reason, because it was literally the best fighters in the entire world of One Piece. And what did we see? We saw Whitebeard just steal the show. Absolutely, all eyes were on this guy. And no one man was ever able to beat Whitebeard, even in like small clashes. He was able to beat Akainu when they fought one-on-one, even though he was damaged. Kizaru was getting hits on him, but they weren't like, he wasn't beating him, and some of those hits were sneak attacks. He was able to beat Blackbeard one-on-one. Anyone he fought, he was able to remove them from the equation and beat them. And I don't think Luffy is going to be able to do this, because the way I see Old Whitebeard was still like the strongest man. And if he was the strongest man, Luffy beat Kaido, but I think Old Whitebeard beats Kaido as well. And I think it's going to be a really tough fight. But at the end of the day, the experience with the Haki, with the endurance, is going to overcome him, especially the Haki. As Kaido said, at the end of the day, it all comes down to Haki. And I think his superior Haki will get the best of Luffy, and Whitebeard will defeat Luffy. So that's the video for today, guys. Controversial one, I'm assuming. Can't wait to read the comments. But comment down below, honestly, what you guys think, who wins and at what difficulty. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Help my channel grow. And share the video with your friends. Like the video, comment, subscribe. As always, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. And stay tuned later this week for another video. And without further ado, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you soon.